Are you ready, Marielle?
Yes.
Okay.
Will be.
As many of you know, Marielle, our next speaker, moved to Utah to be closer to her grandsons. As a result of that June 2013 move, she has read many more bedtime stories than ever before. This morning, Marielle will share with you, via interpretive reading, her youngest grandson's favorite bedtime story, A Visitor for Bear. This story also happens to be a metaphor for Marielle's leadership efforts in dentistry. Couldn't have a speech without a dentist element. I love it, Marielle. Becca, before we move on, will you make sure to turn the timer back to thanks. Her grandson Luke is too young to understand the metaphor, but listen up now and imagine Marielle as the mouse in A Visitor for Bear by Bonnie Becker. Marielle's objectives are to show that she understands interpretive reading, to deliver an effective interpretation, to apply vocal techniques that will add in the effectiveness of the reading. The time is 8 to 10 minutes. The purpose of the interpretive reading is to communicate through voice the work of the author. The interpretive reader's goal is to so enthrall the audience with the story that the audience isn't even aware of the reader. The reader makes the story come alive. Please welcome Marielle.
A Visitor for Bear. No one ever came to Bear's house. It had always been that way. And Bear was quite sure he didn't like visitors. He even had a sign for everything. One morning, Bear heard a tap tap tapping on his front door. When he opened his door, there was a mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed.
No visitors allowed.
Bear said, pointing to the sign.
Go away.
He closed the door and went back to the business of making his breakfast. He set out one cup and one spoon. But when he opened the cupboard to get one bowl, there was a mouse, small, gray, and bright-eyed.
I told you to leave.
Cried Bear. Perhaps we could have just one spot of tea, said the mouse.
Out, commanded the bear.
Oh, sorry, said the mouse. I'll be going now. Bear showed him to the door and shut it firmly. Then he went back to the business of making his breakfast. But when he opened the bread drawer for one slice of bread, there was the mouse, small, gray, and bright-eyed.
Unbelievable,
Grumbled the bear.
Away with you, vamoose!
I do like a bit of cheese, said the mouse. Bear pointed a rigid claw towards the door. Yes, then here I go, said the mouse. Farewell. And the mouse whisked out the door. This time, Bear shut the door very firmly, locked it tight. He locked the windows, too, for good measure. Then, once again, he went back to the business of making his breakfast. But when he opened the fridge to get one egg, there was the mouse! Small, gray, and bright-eyed, of course.
Be gone,
Roared the bear. A crackling fire? Ventured the mouse.
This is impossible, intolerable, insufferable,
Cried the bear, shaking with anger and disbelief. Terribly sorry, murmured the mouse. Now you see me, now you don't. I'm gone. And the mouse looked very sorry indeed, while he waited for Bear to unbolt the door and time, before he went back to the business of making his breakfast, Bear shut the door very, very firmly, locked it, boarded the windows shut, stopped up the chimney, and even plugged the drain in the bathtub. Carefully, Bear set about the business of making his breakfast. He opened the cupboard, no mouse. He opened the bread drawer, nothing. Phew. He opened the fridge, mouse free, yes indeed. He lifted the lid to the tea kettle, and there was the mouse! Small, gray, and, well, you know the rest. Bear fell to the floor and wept. I give up! He blubbered, you win! I'm undone! So sorry, said the mouse, but perhaps if we could have just a bit of cheese and a cup of tea. And do you think we could unstopper the chimney and have a nice fire too? Bear blew his nose with a loud honk. But then you must go, he sniffled. No visitors allowed. You have my word, said the mouse. Bear unshuttered and unboarded the windows, unlocked the doors, unstoppered the chimney, and unplugged the drain. He brought out 2 plates of cheese and 2 teacups and made a crackling fire in the fireplace for 2 sets of toes. The mouse warmed his feet and nibbled and sipped, and Bear did too. They sat for a long while. The clock in Bear's house ticked loudly. Bear cleared his throat. The mouse looked most attentive. No one had ever been most attentive to Bear. The fire is nice, Bear announced. Lovely, said the mouse. No one had ever said Bear's fires were lovely.
I can do a headstand,
said Bear. Very impressive, exclaimed the mouse. Bear told a joke. The mouse laughed heartily. No one had ever laughed at Bear's jokes before. Bear began to think of another joke. The mouse set down his teacup. Bear quickly lifted the teapot.
There's plenty more,
he said. So sorry, said the mouse. Most kind, but I must be on my way.
Really? You need to go,
said Bear. I'm off, said the mouse, springing up from his chair.
Wait,
cried Bear. But the mouse stepped out the door. Toodle-doo, said the mouse.
Don't go,
wailed Bear, throwing his body across the path. But I gave my word, said the mouse, pointing at the no visitors sign. Oh, that, cried Bear, pulling down the sign and tearing it up. That's for salesmen, not for friends. Not for friends? Asked the mouse, small, gray, and bright-eyed. Bear nodded. The mouse's bright-eyed glowed brighter. Bear smiled. Do you like 1 lump or 2, said Bear most politely. I like 2, said the mouse, and Bear agreed.